Hello, Alex.
Afternoon, Eric.
Good afternoon, all. Hope we are doing well. Give us like 5 minutes so that we have a forum.
Speak.
We start around
Have you allowed the permission?
10 minutes past 2. Thank you.
Yes, when you're joining, usually.
Someone confirm if they are audible? From my end?
Bosi yangu umerudi?
The action is about the
Yeah,
legal
nimerefresh.
framework and
Tulikuwa
how to
haikuwa
comply
stable,
with
lakini
the
I know now it is
PROs
okay.
as far as plastic waste is concerned. And in our case, it's the hazardous waste. We already have a law in place. Plastic waste is a global phenomena. It's a global problem, and how to manage it. So in Kenya, of course, we've been talking about it for over many years. Now, at least there is a legal framework to work with. It's a little difficult to comply straight away, so we need certain PROs to work with her.
Oh, that's okay.
Individual companies may not find it easy and cost effective
That's
to do
good.
this on their own. So we will need certain PROs, and for that we will the HAPROK will be working to streamline that area. Of course, it's going to come at a cost, but then that's what it is. The government has implemented the policies. I guess the county council, each county has to now become a partner with us, because that's where the waste management happens. But again, there are certain strong points about this policy, and there are certain difficult points, also weak ones, and this gives us a platform to negotiate and understand each other better so that we can improve on the current rules and regulations. The expertise definitely lies with the PROs, and you need a coordinating body, so that happens to be the HAPROK. Why do we need this instrument in place? Businesses are all about running it efficiently, so that's what we will be doing. But when we get into
Although some brought some bottles of beer, and no, this is another. This is another.
Well, at least now they know.
Yeah, no,
1 kg at 20
at 20
shillings.
shillings.
Sasa unaanza kuongea ile lugha tunapenda, by the way.
Yes.
Incentivization.
Incentivization. Yeah, people really need to be put to understand what the EPR is, and how it's supposed to work.
Electronic Waste Producer Responsibility Organization of Kenya, also known as HAPROK, is a membership organization that is coming in to support its members manage the post-consumer waste. So through the Kenya Association of Manufacturers, that is KM, Global Lighting Association, and also the Kenya Renewable Energy Association of Kenya, that is KEREA, came together to help register EPROK to support their members manage the post-consumer waste. So this was as a result of the National Sustainable Waste Management Act of 2022 and also Section 13 that is now coming in to bring circularity into the waste management, particularly looking at extending that responsibility to producers. So who are producers? Producer is anybody who manufactures, those who import products and place them on the Kenyan market. So EPROK is here to implement the Section 13 of the Sustainable Waste Management Act on behalf of its members. So here we are coming to establish a take back scheme or system to ensure that e-waste is collected and treated so that it does not end up into the environment and also the land use. So we are working closely with ministries, we are working closely with MEMA and also other stakeholders who are here to support us in achieving the goal. My key takeaway for this session was we really need to have collaborations in whatever we are doing, particularly looking at from the collection of this waste all the way to recycling. And then when we are focusing on the pyramid, first of all, we need to focus on prevention. And then two, we also need to look at the marketplace. What are the opportunities that are there in the marketplace so that whenever maybe your gadget is spoiled, you are able to take it for repairing. So that there's that bit of also job creation and also that bit of circularity and sustainability.
Good afternoon, everyone. Thank you for joining the call. I hope you can all hear me. Thank you for making time this afternoon. So welcome to the EPR Regulations and Plastics Regulations 2024 Compliance webinar. This is done jointly by HAPROK, Hazardous Waste Producer Responsibility Organization of Kenya, as well as EPROK, Electronic Waste Producer Responsibility of Kenya. So we also joined with our members, our partners from NEMA. I just want them to test their microphones. So Alex, if you're on the call, please try and unmute and say hi. Alex, I can see you on mute. Okay. Aisha, are you on call?
Yes, hi.
Hi, thank you. Are you with Alex? Maybe you're able to help him with his mic?
I had seen him here, but
Yeah,
I am not with him. But he's in the meeting. I can see him.
Okay. Alex? We could hear you, but you've disappeared. Okay.
Dr. Ayub is there?
Dr. Ayub, are you on the call? So, okay, while NEMA is fixing your mic, they're fixing their mic, allow me to present the agenda. So my name is Valin Kinya, Communications Officer at EPROK. I'll be your moderator for the day. I will ask those in the room to introduce themselves We'll start off with coordinator for HAPROK, Sila.
Good afternoon once again, all. Andrew Sila is my name. I coordinate at HAPROK. HAPROK is the PRO and hazardous packaging waste. Thank you and welcome.
We'll go to John.
Good afternoon. My name is John. Pleasure to be here. And today we are here just to sensitize you on what is required on your end regarding both the regulation, so EPR regulation, as well as the packaging and plastic and packaging regulation. So I'm John Marvin Ayara, and I coordinate Electronic Waste Producer Responsibility Organization of Kenya, that is EPROK. Back to you, Valim.
Thank you. Doreen.
Good afternoon, everyone. My name is Doreen Kirimi. I'm the communications officer for HAPROK.
Okay. Thank you, Doreen, and thank you, team. So our agenda today, we've just started with the welcoming remarks. We'll go into the EPROK overview. We'll have the HAPROK overview. And then we'll have NEMA presentation. This is on the EPR regulations as well as the plastic regulations. And we'll also touch on the producer registration process. We'll also have a Q&A. This is a moment for you to interact with the regulator, your PROs, to ask any relevant questions about compliance. So I will allow the NEMA team. Aisha, maybe you can kick off with introductions from your end. Aisha, can you hear me?
Yes, I can hear you.
Please proceed with introductions. Alex?
Let's proceed.
So Alex and Aisha, we can't hear you. So allow me to, I can see the HAPROK board chair, Dr. Ajay. Kindly just say hi and introduce yourself.
Good afternoon. I'm the vice chair. Sadly, Mr. Bipin Shah, who's the chair, couldn't make it, but I just want to assure NEMA that we assure them of our full commitment to clean up this environment. But wish you a successful deliberation today. Thank you very much. Thank you.
Thank you, Dr. Ajay. So we'll kick off the presentations. I'll invite John Ayara to kick off the meeting as we wait for NEMA to sort out the mic.
Yeah, thank you. Thank you so much, Valim. Very quickly, from this presentation, Electronic Waste Producer Responsibility Organization of Kenya is a PRO coming in to support members manage their post-consumer e-waste arising from the electronic products they put in the Kenyan market. So if we note, the Kenyan Constitution acknowledges the need and the right to have a cleaner environment, where we are looking at Article 42. It states that every person has the right to clean and healthy environment, which includes the right, one, to have an environmental protected and for the benefit of the present and the future generation, as well as to have, it also obligates, it also have an obligation relating to the environmental fulfilled under Article 70. Noting that we have acts within the environment, that is the EMCA Act, that provides the establishment of an appropriate legal and institutional framework to manage the environment and its related matters, as well as now the new Sustainable Waste Management Act that is coming in, particularly to focus on or it is introducing the circularity bit of how waste is managed. So from linear model to now the circular model way of managing the environment. So just to take you through in terms of the journey, we understand the journey of the extended producer responsibility. So we have the Sustainable Waste Management Act, and it is very clear in terms of what is coming to do. And that one, most of us, we are aware. So in terms of the journey, looking at the radical shift in Kenya's transition to circular economy, we note that the National Sustainable Waste, the journey to EPR and plastic regulation in Kenya marks a transformative shift from linear take-make to model to a structure which is now bringing circular economy. This transition gained significant momentum in 2017 with a landmark ban on single-use plastic carrier bags, followed by a 2019 ban on non-biodegradable wraps or plastic wraps. So this earlier regulatory intervention led to the National Environmental Management Authority, that is NEMA, to provide the essential groundwork for waste take-back schemes and sensitize the private sector to the environmental obligation. So recognizing the need to have a more sustainable industry-led approach, so the players like CAM supported in launching of the Kenya Plastic Action Plan in 2019. And this plan was actually pivotal in ensuring or formally recommending the establishment of collective management scheme to handle post-consumer waste. So this proactive private sector movement aligned with the development of National Sustainable Waste Management Act of 2022. And then Section 13 of this particular act was now changed the landscape by legally mandating every producer defined as an entity that introduces product in the Kenyan market to bear responsibility of the entire life cycle of the products and goods they are putting in the Kenyan market. So to operationalize this legal requirement, to date, the Kenya Association of Manufacturers has played a central role in incubating sector-specific producer responsibility organizations. These are PROs. So these organizations allow companies to pool resources and meet their compliance targets collectively and cost-effectively. So today, this framework has managed through specialized entity. We know the likes of KPRO and PACPRO managing packaging, non-hazardous. And then we have HAPROK coming in strongly to support members who are managing hazardous packaging products in the Kenyan market. And then we also have now EPROK, which is very also essential, coming in to support members in the electrical and electronic equipment sector. So with the 2024 EPR regulation, in effect, the PROs they're serving as the primary vehicle to support compliance, guide their members through NEMA registration, establishing collection and recycling in infrastructure, and ensuring that Kenya moves towards its goal of pollution-free and circular economy. So this evolution from simple product ban to a comprehensive mandatory EPR framework has represented one of the most progressive waste management shifts, not only in the world, but also in Africa. And this has been something that has been private sector initiated. So that is just a transition from where we were to now where we are at till now, implementing both EPR as well as the plastic regulation. Next. So from this policy approach, it is extending the responsibility to post-consumer stage of product life, aiming to encourage product design, enhance recycling rates, and as well reduce the use of virgin materials input into the waste generation. So producers are required, are responsible for end of life. Also, they must finance their collection and recycling of their products post-consumer, as well as non-compliance might lead to persecution, that is by the authority. So as of Schedule 1, these are the product category. So packaging for non-hazardous, we have plastic, aluminum, composites, and all that. Hazardous products, they fall under industrial chemicals. And then under Section 3, we have electronics, end-of-life motor vehicle, and then non-packaging items. So far, we have only 3 categories that have been covered, and we have also PROs supporting on that end. So what are the obligations? As a producer, you need to have, these are your obligations as a producer. So one, you need to register with NEMA as a producer. That is very, very key, and it's very, very important. 2, you need to establish a take-back scheme as a producer, and then ensure whether you're going to implement it individually or collectively to manage the end of life of product. So individually is the case whereby you are a unique producer and you don't have any other producer who are introducing that related product in the market. But in the case where they exist, you are required to join the already existing scheme to support you manage that common related product. So one, you need to pay your EPR fee to support the system, as well as membership fee to your PRO. Also, you are required to ensure that you maintain records and submit annual reports to NEMA, as well as the county government. So those are some of the obligations, and you are supposed to inform and educate the consumer on post-consumer products handling and disposal. And so if you are doing within a collective scheme, the PRO will support you on that. But if you're doing it individually, then you have to ensure that you are doing this and you're covering all the 47 counties. So HAPROK, as I've said, we are a collective scheme, and currently we support members in the electric and electronic sector. We have a broad representation of sectors, more than 10 sectors who we are supporting on that. And then we are the only PRO that is supporting electronics and electric sector manage their post-consumer e-waste. So this is our mission. So our mission is to promote sustainable and responsible electric and electronic management in Kenya by enabling producers meet their EPR obligation through a collective scheme. Our vision is a sustainable Kenya where products are designed for circularity through shared responsibility. And then our purpose exists to protect environment and conserve resources by transforming how e-waste is managed, ensuring we have a circular future for our country. So these are the sectors that we are currently supporting. They cut across. Pauline, proceed. So very fast, we support you manage your post-consumer e-waste. That is as per the regulation, not industrial waste. We support you report in terms of the product you're putting in the market, and also whatever has been recycled. We give that report to NEMA on your behalf, and also support advisory services on EPR compliance. So our target exists to have 50% collection rate by 2029, and also have an increased recycling rate by a 30% recycling rate by 2029. Why Why join HAPROK? So risk mitigation, cost efficiency, simplified compliance, and also enhanced reputation. So by joining, you're able to mitigate risk, whereby collectively you're able to come together, have your resources together, cost efficiency, you're not doing it alone, simplified compliance. As you focus on your main core duty, the PROs are here to support you on your compliance, and then enhance reputation. And then the last one. Thank you so much. I rest my case.
Thank you, John, for that presentation. I can see the NEMA team is online. Maybe I can allow them quickly before we proceed to the HAPROK overview to introduce themselves. I can see Dr. Ayub Mashari on the call. Kindly unmute and kindly unmute. Dr. Ayub, can you hear us? Okay. Alex, are you able to unmute now?
Hello, good afternoon.
Good afternoon.
My name is Alex Kamake. I'm in the plastic division and will be taking you through the plastic presentation later on. Thank you.
Thank you, Alex. We can move on to Yvonne, Jerry. Okay, for now, then we can move on to Aisha.
Good afternoon, everyone.
Good afternoon.
My name is Aisha Duba. Can you hear me?
Yes, yes.
Yeah, we can hear you, Aisha. Please proceed.
Okay, good afternoon, everyone. My name is Aisha Duba. I am a compliance officer from NEMA, from the EPR division. Thank you.
Thank you, Aisha. We can move on to Hadassah.
Good afternoon, and thank you for this opportunity. My name is Hadassah Fisa from my Environmental Enforcement Division. Thank you.
Thank you, Hadassah. Dr. Ayub, are you able to unmute now? Okay, Yvonne? Okay, so while their mics get sorted and before we move on to their presentation, kindly allow me to invite Andrew Sila from HAPROK to give his presentation.
Thank you so very much once again, Tim. Good afternoon, all. On behalf of HAPROK here, we sincerely thank you for joining today's compliance engagement session. The meeting was called for or convened within the framework of sustainable waste management, and by this is Extended Producer Responsibility Regulations, EPR 2024, together with the Plastic Packaging Material Regulations of 2024 as well. And now enforced and import certificate compliance requirements tied to market access. And that is the reason why we called upon this meeting, that we may assist our members, both EPROK and HAPROK, on the way forward and dealing with these compliance issues. So under this, because I'm certain that we are 30 minutes above the hour, and I can hear Alex is already on the call, probably my colleague from EPROK had given a comprehensive introduction. Basically, I do know that EPROK members have been here. May allow, because of time, to proceed with the NEMA presentation so that I know we may have plenary. We have so many issues, questions, which you may lack time to answer. So on behalf of that, I allow to give some of my time to NEMA officers, regulators who are here, so that we may proceed with their presentation. Back to you, Valin.
Okay, so I think we can start with Dr. Ayub on the presentation. Okay, Alex, are you able to proceed with the presentation on the plastics regulations? Alex, can you hear us? You can proceed with the plastics regulations presentation. Alex, please confirm
Hello.
you can. Okay, yes,
Hello.
we can hear you.
Are you able now to see my screen?
It's just loading. Okay, I think try and share again.
Okay.
Yeah.
Are you now able to see?
Yes, we can see your screen.
Okay. Now, as I had said earlier, my name is Alex Kamake, and I'm in the plastic division. So I will be taking you through this short regulation that was passed in 2024. This is after the NEMA had banned the use of polythene back in 2017. So I wouldn't take much of your time. I will just go straight to the presentation. And we start by defining a plastic, which means a carrier bag made of any polymer, including polyethylene, polypropylene, polyethylene, that could be laminated on non-laminated film or fabric or woven or non-woven. So if your packaging has any of those indicated polymers, then you need to be cleared by the authority to continue using any form of those plastic packaging materials. And now this regulation was passed in 2024, and this regulation was to regulate manufacturers, exporters, importers, and users. Kindly note that there is no any other category apart from those four. Specifically manufacturers, so there is no any, let me use the word supply, or an intermediary between a manufacturer and a user. It is strictly for those four categories. Now, the management and control of plastic packaging materials is through the extended producer responsibility for Blair scheme. This is either individually or collectively producer by joining a producer responsibility organization such as the HAPROK, EPROK, KEPRO, and the PACPRO. This regulation is toward achieving a zero waste by 2030, of which I don't know if it is so soon, because 2030 is 4 years from now. And this regulation was also to prevent the pollution of land, fresh water, marines, environment with microplastics. Now, the single ban of plastic carrier bags is still standing despite the new regulation. Now, objective of the plastic regulation. One of the objectives is to establish a framework for the management and control of plastic packaging materials, promote environmentally friendly packaging materials, and environmentally friendly, those are like the biodegradable packaging materials, and the use of packaging materials that basically don't have any polymers. That is such as the khaki bags. The other one is to prevent, preserve, and promote.
Hello.
Hello. Hello.
Umesongesha?
Yes. Are you seeing my screen? Hello. Hello.
Yeah. Yes, you can see a screen.
We can see a screen.
Okay. I was at part C, to preserve and promote a clean and healthy environment for sustainable development, promote the recycling of plastic packaging materials. This one I will show you later on, the recycling at the racing codes that will clarify during my presentation later on. Now, this regulation applies to all carrier bags and plastic packaging materials, all packaging materials on imported products. Now, remember, there is no importation of packaging materials. Currently, there's no. They only allow you to import products that have already been packaged in plastic packaging materials or products that are wrapped in plastic packaging materials. That is a clarification on part that B. Now, we are implementing this plastic regulation with the following agencies. That is the Kenya Revenue Authority, specifically at the Customs Department, Kenya Bureau of Standards. Remember, when you're making any application, you must provide us with proof of the authorization from the Kenya Bureau of Standards. Either for imported products, you have to provide a COC permit, and for locally supplied products, you have to provide the local KEBS permit. The other one is the county government and the National Police Service. Now, authorization of a license. An applicant who applies for these plastic regulations, remember this is through the Extended Producer Responsibility Plan, and as prescribed fee is accompanied. Currently, previously, for those who had applied the clearances, you could clearly tell they were being issued for 2 or 3 years, and they were free. Currently, NEMA is charging based on the kilograms of plastic packaging materials you are using per year. An applicant may specify the portion of information that could be treated as confidential by the authority during consideration of the application. All the information you will attach to the application are confidential to the authority and are not that they would be at no any point they are released to the public. Now, the record of decision is within 21 days. Remember, when you make an application today, you don't call in the evening confirming that you made an application in the morning. So the record of decision is within 21 days. And the license is valid for 12 months. Now, suspension, cancellation, revocation, or the license. The authority may revoke, suspend, or cancel a license issued where the licensee contravenes the conditions. Remember, one of the conditions of the license, any of those licenses, be it of the manufacturer, be it of the importer, user, or exporter, one of the license, number 1, is plastic packaging materials are not for sale. So you cannot be authorized to use a plastic packaging materials and you go to sell to somebody else who is also using the same type of packaging materials. The only sale comes in between a manufacturer and a user. And there is no intermediary between a manufacturer and a user. So for instance, let me use an example of a company like Bob Mill. Bob Mill is a licensed manufacturer. And for a user who is maybe packaging bread, can go to the manufacturer directly and get the license, get the packaging materials when they have already been cleared and they have been issued with a license. The next one is the packaging materials which the license poses an environmental threat that could have not been foreseen when the license was being issued. Then it was established that the information given by the applicant in support of the application was false and incorrect. Maybe you attach a false information or a forged document, then the license can be cancelled. An applicant who aggrieved by any of the decision under this regulation may appeal to the National Tribunal within the 60 days. Now, this is the criteria for the regulation. I've highlighted it in green because these are the only reasons why we are issuing a plastic license. If your packaging is falls out of any of these criteria or reasons why you should use a polythene, then you don't get a clearance from the authority. Number one, required or not, plastic packaging materials is used in conformity with the industry standard. Now, one that the Kenya Bureau of Standards have given a go ahead that material is good, of good quality standard, and it can be used in Kenya. The packaging materials is recyclable. You see, at the end of the day, we want to recycle these packaging materials and make other products, or we evacuate them from the environment easily. The other one is for product preservation and public health, for security measures, waterproofing and dustproofing, to maintain product integrity while on transit, to constitute overpacking or not, in export in accordance with the relevant requirements of the country where the good is exported to. Now, for instance, for those who are exporting flowers, they must comply with the country of which they are exporting their products to. And this case applies to also those who are importing, that the product that they are importing must meet the Kenyan standard. Now, I won't much dwell into the EPR regulation, individual EPR, because this one will be covered by the EPR team, and I do hope that everybody here is a member of either HAPROK or EPROK. So during your application, which I will show you later on, you're not supposed to attach, if you are a member of a PRO, you basically attach the PRO membership certificate where you see the extended producer responsibility plan or measures that you're going to put in place to evacuate the packaging materials. Allow me to skip this. This will be covered by the EPR team. Now, labeling. This is where currently I'm getting a lot of challenges with clients who are applying for the plastic packaging materials. Under the new regulation of the plastic regulation, all packaging materials must be labeled, be it they are imported or they are locally made. And labeling, we are currently specifically looking at the brand for locally manufactured packaging materials. We are currently looking at the brand name, the name of the manufacturer, and if they have indicated the racing codes for recyclability and such. And where this is where it is indicating the plastic packaging materials are clearly marked recyclable or non-recyclable codes, which I will show you later on the rest codes. Name of the contact person is printed on the packaging materials. This is basically the brand name. The name and the location of the manufacturer. If it is Bob Mill, you indicate the manufactured by Bob Mill Industry and the address. For imported products, let me specifically say for imported products, the packaging material should be labeled imported by the name of your company. That can be done by either a permanent sticker, but we know the permanent sticker can be sometimes expensive. So there is a machine called a label printer. that can print. It is a portable machine that can label all your packaging materials before you distribute them or at the point of entry. But ensure that all your packaging materials are properly labeled before they are distributed to the market. Now, publication. The authority shall publish on its website a list of producer responsibility organizations, that is the PRO, the location collection centers identified by person who manufactures, import, offer for sale plastic packaging materials. Let me emphasize again on this sale. The sale is between a manufacturer and a user only. And currently, these are the NEMA fees that they are currently charging. If you're using packaging materials without the content, a plain packaging materials, 1 kilogram to 50,000 kilograms, you will get an invoice of 3,000. 51,000 to 100, you get an invoice of 5,000. 101 to 500,000, you get an invoice of 10,000. And remember, when an application has been penned with an issue, and then you had selected the first category as 1 to 50,000, and then the system had given you an invoice of 3,000 and paid, and later on during the amendments you select 51,000 to 100,000. The system is so sharp that it will give you an additional top-up invoice of 2,000. So you will just have to stick with the first category that you selected. Now the offenses under the plastic regulation. Under this the regulation, the following conducts counts as offenses if done without authorization. Manufacturing of plastic packaging, plastic carrier bags, flat bags, or plastic films is an offense. Importation, exportation of such plastic packaging materials is also an offense. Selling or offering for sale plastic carriers or flat bags or plastic films is an offense. Possession or using plastic carrier bags, flat bags or films without authorization. Purchasing plastic packaging materials from a person who is not licensed. That is also an offense. Failure by the manufacturer, importer, exporter, user to keep proper records of plastic packaging materials. They are materials quantities that they are. One of the requirements, basically, the manufacturer must keep a record of all the users they have manufactured the packaging materials for, which kilograms, how many, the name of the company, and such information. They have to keep a record of that for the authorities' verification. Now, penalties for the offenses. If convicted under the 2024 plastic regulation, penalties include a jail term not less than 1 year or not more than 4 years, a fine not less than 2 million or not more than 4 million, or both fine and jail term. These penalties apply to manufacturers, manufacturing, importing, exporting, using, possession or offering for sale unlicensed plastic packaging materials, carrier bags, flat bags, films without authorization. Now, these are the racing codes. Let me summarize it here a bit. That the racing code 1 is usually PET. These are made of polyethylene, common. These are common in the soda bottles, water bottles. If you can check on your tables, when you flip a water bottle at the bottom, it is indicated 1, which means that packaging, that plastic bottle falls under racing code 1, which is a PET. The next one is high density polyethylene, HPDE, which is common in the milk jugs, detergents, shampoos, bottles, flower pots, and grocery bags. Grocery bags belongs to category 2 of HPDE. The third one is the PVC, polyvinyl chloride, which is the sheeting. This is commonly used by manufacturers, automotive product bottles, cleaning supply jugs, and pool liners. These all fall under the resin code 3, which is the PVC. Now, I have highlighted the resin code 4, which is the one that NEMA had banned in 2017, which is the low density polyethylene. This is the common ones are the trash bags, the bread bags, the overwraps, and the squeeze bottles. And squeeze bottle is those people who are packaging water bottles or carbonated drinks in dozens, and then they are wrapping with one film. That is called a squeeze bottles. The other one is PP, polypropylene. These are common in yogurt cans, cups, juice bottles, straws, hangers, cans, and shipping bags. Now you can be you're using HPDE, for instance, those people who are packaging, those people who are in HAPROK, who are packaging hazardous chemicals. But if you are using HPDE, then you don't need a license for plastic packaging materials. If at all you're using HPDE only, or the PET bottles only, or the yogurt cans, which is the PP. But if at all you are wrapping them with low density polyethylene, that's when you now apply to be authorized to use that low density polyethylene. The sixth one is PS, which is polyethylene, commonly used in go containers, hot cups, shipping caution, CD cases, and flatwares. Resin code 7 is others, which is recycled packaging material, recycled resin code from 1, 2, 3, 4. So when you recycle any of those, you make another product, and that product falls under resin code 7, which is other. This is what the Gazette notice or the publication that was done by the authority back in 2025, declaring that all people to apply for a plastic license and that all clearances were invalid. Now the application process. This is the simplest application process when you're applying for plastic packaging materials. You go to the NEMA website, you register an account, you log in, go to new license application, license for plastic packaging materials. You will fill the form as you attach the required documents. And then once your form has been reviewed, the license will be sent via your email, or even the issue letter is usually sent via the email. And once it's done for amendments, there's issues. You don't make a new application, because when you make a new application, the system will prompt you again with another invoice. So you just go to action, you edit the application, and resubmit. And by resubmitting, ensure that the last point, page 4, you declare. If you don't declare, then your application form will still be on a side, and it will not be reviewed until you properly declare. When you resubmit again, the application status must change from return to under review. These are the common banned plastic packaging materials. You can see here clearly even the film is also banned, but currently, we are licensing. Only that the challenge with the plastic film, it cannot be properly labeled. So they must now use a permanent sticker that can stick to the plastic film for ease of identification. That's the end of my presentation. Thank you.
Thank you, Alex, for that detailed presentation. I'm sure there'll be questions. So participants, please share your questions either on the chat or the Q&A section, and we'll address them later. Right now, I'm not sure if Dr. Ayub is on the call, able to introduce himself.
Yes, I'm on the call. I can hear you very well.
Yes, we can hear you. Yes, we can hear you.
Am I allowed to make a presentation?
Yes, yes. Go ahead.
Okay. So, my presentation is about enforcement. You are aware that we are supposed to commence enforcement as soon as possible because the regulation is active, the EPR regulations, and even the plastics. Fortunately, both the regulations talk about EPR. So my presentation will be on what we are planning to do with on plastic enforcement. So I want to share my screen. Very fast. So what we'll be enforcing are two things. One of them is we have three priorities, although it's coming as a slide, but just an overview. We are enforcing the issue of free riders. There should be no free riders. Number two, full payment of full payment for pollution. That is the EPR fee, which is calculated using a formula. And then finally, we are also enforcing accountability in the PROs. The money given to PROs must be spent for the purpose for which it was designed for. So those are the three areas that we are enforcing. Something about NEMA. I think you know more about NEMA. In implementation of policies.
I think we lost Ayub. Is that?
Dr. Ayub, your connection is breaking.
Am I back?
Yes, yes. Now we can hear you.
Can you hear me now?
Okay. Yes, yes. Yeah.
So some facts. Yes, some facts are you are familiar with this, right? It has we have data in Kenya showing that everybody generates 0.5 kgs of waste per day, and therefore 25,000 tons per day, 60% organic, 30% recyclable, 10% others. And there is a rule that everybody must segregate waste at source using the National Waste Color Code, where you put organic in the green bag, general waste in the black bag, and blue bag for recyclables. And we have also offenses and penalties if you don't segregate, if you don't transport waste properly, and if the facilities for waste management are not licensed. And the responsibility is also graduated, such that the individual is supposed to segregate waste, Counties are supposed to manage green waste, and EPR, where most of you members are, you are supposed to manage your waste through extended producer responsibility. That is the green and the black bag has been given back to the private sector. And we have the waste flow where you can see your waste, the green, the blue and the black bag. That is the most important for you. You are supposed to contract a transporter to take that waste to a material recovery facility. And then further sorting will be done there. Then the waste is taken to a recycler, the valuables, and the incinerators for the non-valuables. And the RAD fee is only supposed to receive only 5% of our waste, so that we don't need more land for the landfill. And in all these areas, you meet different actors, value chain actors, such as waste pickers, aggregators, the MRF, recyclers, incinerator, and each of them will tell you something. And that is the reason why there was need for a formula to show how the pollution fee is calculated. So we have already started our transition towards circularity. And what we have done is, you recall that Kenya has many dam sites all over. What we have asked the county government to do is to reorganize these existing dam sites. We want it to have 4 cells, one to receive the green bag, one to receive the black bag, one to receive the blue bag, and then the RAD feed area. So this is for our dam site, but for the material recovery facilities, since they are mainly private, they are new, they will continue to come on board with time. But for now, all trucks will continue to go to the dam site, but then they will find a new arrangement like indicated on my slide. Now, for synthetic waste, where you are, the law says producers are responsible for their waste, and so it is an offense for a producer not to undertake waste management obligations. And it's also an offense for a producer or a PRO to give misleading information on quantities held or introduced into the market. And it's an offense for a producer not to be a member of a PRO, to be a free rider, and not to fulfill their obligations. And the same case goes for a retailer. Any of your outlets, your markets, and this is where enforcement comes. We will be walking around checking whether there is compliance. Nobody should stock anything on the shelf on behalf of somebody who is not a member, who is not registered with NEMA and is not a member of the PRO. And we have developed the charge sheets, and we are ready to do the first arrest. And the fine will be between 2 to 4 million, or a jail term of between 1 to 4 years, or both, for putting your items on the market or the other crimes above. Now, I started with talking about our priorities in enforcement. Our priority number 1 is everybody must be on board, no joyriders. And we have started this by telling retailers not to place products on the market that are not compliant. So we became effective from 2nd of February because they had asked for more time. The retailers had asked for more time up to 2nd of February. And from 2nd of February, we may not be going to the front shop because there are items that are even 3 years old, 4 years old, which may have not been sold. So we are operating mainly from behind the receiving end to make sure that nothing has been received from 2nd of February that is not compliant. Then there is payment for full cost of pollution. And so what we have done is NEMA has sent a formula to the PROs to charge. And EPROK, HAPROK, KEPRO and PACPRO, they have our letter indicating what they should charge. And after they charge, we have another enforcement area. We demand accountability from them. So we demand evidence that the waste is collected and safely disposed. And we are demanding that they do this through digitally so that we can get access to the logs to see that the money came in, the money has been spent, and the facilities that have been used are those that are licensed. And of course, enforcement action will be taken in case we find your products in the environment. So I just wish to show you a snapshot of that formula. The way the people who are the fees drivers. One of them is the waste picker or the waste generator. So the waste generator or the waste picker, what they do is that they place their waste outside the gates for waste service provider to come and pick it. But you find the waste pickers coming to scavenge on that waste. Or the waste, some waste generators throw waste anyhow. Fortunately, all the synthetic waste has labels, so we can be able to trace who it belongs to. So waste pickers are supposed to be attracted to the waste so that they pick it, and because there is some money, there is some compensation for picking that waste. And then you can also segregate waste and sell directly to waste service providers because waste is money. So one can sell, or a waste provider can pick the waste directly from the generator, like you do, the industrialist. You know that your waste, you don't place it outside. A truck comes inside the facility and picks it. So in this regard, you find there is an interplay of the waste picker and also you taking the waste directly to the
You said we don't ship, so we are hoping with the defense that we submitted, they would give us leeway for us to.
Is somebody on the background? Is there a question? Okay, so this is you're supposed to pay for waste collection service. It's part of the fee driver, and the compensation must be fair. We must anchor it on national daily wage guidelines, because you asked me how much do I pay a waste picker, then I can only answer and say, what does the government say is a national wage per day? And so we are using the national wage to determine the pay for waste pickers. And so the waste picker will be paid on weight per published average daily waste collection times that minimum daily wage. And the research has shown that the amount of waste that a waste picker can collect is an interplay between waste recoverability, which means the ability to reclaim those useful materials. How easy is it for your material to be picked by the waste picker? If it is a sweet wrapper, you know its recoverability is low. If it is something big, then recoverability is easy. But depending on how much you can pick in a day, then that can determine the wage bill. And a survey that was done in Ghana showed that a waste picker can collect an average of 41 kilograms per day of recyclable materials. And therefore, based on that, you can be able now to calculate how much do you pay a waste picker. Like for PET, this is the calculation. You collect 40 kilograms per day is equal to 750 shillings. And therefore, if 1 kg is made up of 45 pieces of 5 ml bottles, then he needs to collect 1,800 bottles to earn the 750. So one bottle is 0.41 cents. All 1 kilogram is 18 shillings and 45 cents. Why this is important is because in the past, the waste pickers have had most of their materials not paid for. Now that is a thing of the past, because now this is the minimum that should be paid to a waste picker. We don't expect it to change. It should remain constant like that. And so this, we call it like a guaranteed minimum return to the waste picker. So this way, we are sure that the waste pickers we will feel comfortable that they are employed just like anybody else. The same goes for a sweet lapper. Also, a similar study showed that a waste picker can collect half a kg of sweet lappers per day. That is if he is in a busy marketplace. Half a kg is equal to 750. Then 1 kilogram of sweet lapper therefore should be paid at 1,500 shillings. Now you see this is different from the PET. PET was 18 shillings. This one is 1,500 for the sweet lappers. Fortunately, 5,000 lappers make 1 kg. And so per lapper is 0.3. And so this is how the EPR fee is calculated. And then we have aggregators. They store the waste. And in the process, they have to pay rent, they have to pay NEMA licenses, they have to pay counter trade license, they have to secure the facility, they have workers, electricity, sewage, water costs, residual waste handling. And so therefore, while working with the value chain actors, they recommended that they need to be paid for storage. They need to be paid for baling. Baling uses a lot of electricity. So for that reason, they need to be paid. Then sorting, they have sorters, because even if they get the black bag or the blue bag, it is still mixed. So they need to sort it out. And then they have residual waste that is not useful, which they have to chat away to the landfill. So for that reason, they require payment for that reason. They are critical value chain actor who need to be paid. And so aggregators are located at the MRF. And for them to gain more, they need to sort their waste and also to bale it. Then the other aspect is transportation. Waste needs to be moved from one place to another. And so this depends on whether the waste is baled or not baled. And the question that we don't have an answer to, and which we have made a recommendation to the PROs that you either consider trips, and NEMA recommends trips because we don't want a scenario where somebody told that we cannot visit your place because you cannot fill a whole truck. Because in that waiting, that waste will attract rats, cockroaches, will generate pungent smell, which makes the neighborhood very uncomfortable. So weight is not our preferred measure. So NEMA is asking for transport schedule from the PROs to make sure that for that waste that can get damaged quickly, it is removed as soon as possible, preferably every week. And then there is the issue of distance. So this area, we have left it open to the PROs to tell us how they are paying the transporters. Then the recyclers, they also demand payment. And the payment is because they claim, this is from transporters, not from NEMA. They claim that some materials are not recyclable. Some materials have disruptive additives, and they are also left with some residual waste, which they have to take to the landfill. And when they invite also the transporters to remove the waste to take it to the landfill, the transporters claim that they pay the tipping fee in the landfill. Some of the landfills like Dadora, they are not accessible. And so that is why they have the fee, they are calling it landfill access. Of course, there are also reasons why they should not be compensated because they have no transport costs. The materials is delivered to them for free, and then the materials are sorted, and whoever invested in a recycler did that and with the understanding that they'll get volumes of materials. And now that they have the volumes, why should they be paid? And then adequate volumes are available, and then they sell what they so those arguments. Finally, they put a strong case that the presence of disruptive items or chemicals, recyclability or residual disposal are things that they may not embrace. Now, the incinerator, this is for those who have difficult non-recyclables. It has to be burnt. And so those facilities, they pay rent, they pay for licenses, they have to be secured, they have workers, they have electricity, sewage and water costs, and residual waste disposal. And normally they are charging at per kilogram. Right now I hear it is about 35 shillings. So for that reason, who will pay for that? Of course, not the government, it is the producer who has to pay for that. And then there is the RAD This is where 5% of the waste should go. And RAD are both private and those owned by the government. So there is the issue of rent, the infrastructure. It must be a sanitary RAD that does not pollute the groundwater. They have to pay NEMA licenses, county licenses, security, labor, electricity, sewage, and water. For that reason, you see, these are costs, and therefore they charge per kilogram for tipping. So all these are fees to be paid. And therefore, based on the formula that we have circulated to the PROs, then what you are supposed to do to pay as a producer is therefore well captured on this slide. It is the cost for waste handling, waste processing per product chemistry, and also we pay for waste disposal, and also plus enablers. Enablers are those costs for your organization, that PRO. As you can see down there, the last item there, the last box, they need to do market development, product life cycle assessment, circular economy initiatives, public awareness, research, reporting, and also administration. So that is another fee that you will have to add. I have explained all the others up there in my earlier slides. So this is how we have come up with the formula. The formula is provided under section 18 of the law, which says that it must, you have to pay the PRO, the fee for implementing your obligations based on environmental criteria. So this is the environmental criteria that is in section 18 of the EPR regulations. So what has happened is NEMA can only go up to that level of defining the environmental criteria. Now, about the figures for this, those figures, about 1 shilling, 2 shilling, 18 shillings that I showed you, that is not the responsibility of NEMA. It is the responsibility of value chain actors who pick this formula and they now engage it and give NEMA some figures to enforce. And so the value chain actors met at the Kenya Association of Waste Recyclers. I know the figures here are not big enough, but I can increase the font a bit so that you can see. They met and they engaged with our formula and they put figures, values. And so now we have values for some of the items that they deal with. They don't deal with everything, but for the few items that they deal with, they have put some figures for waste pickers, the one in green. You can see the material on the first column. What material are you talking about? Then the money for the waste pickers based on the minimum wage. Then the value for aggregators, those who store the waste temporarily. And then they have values for recyclers. The recyclers are the ones who give these figures. The aggregators give their figure, the pickers give their figure, but the pickers were moderated because of the minimum wage. And then for transportation, they have also suggested their figures. You can see them there. And then for disposal, the incineration, I said it is 35 shillings. For landfill, tipping is 2 shillings per kg. And so now the figure that is not here is the one for enablers, which is done by the the PROs where you will belong. So you can see we already have the figures for NEMA to work with. Why these figures are important is because of audit. You know, the law says that 5% of it says number one that you must pay for the full payment of pollution. So how do I determine the full cost of pollution? It is these figures. If you pay less than this, then you are not paying for the full cost of pollution. Then it means that the future generations, we are polluting the environment. So for that reason, figures are very important, and I hope that we have sent this to the PROs and told them that if they have any queries on these figures, they will liaise with the value chain actors, not NEMA, because NEMA has no business with the figures. They liaise with the value chain actors. They amend the figures together with them. They agree, and then they return this to NEMA so that we can do auditing. We can make sure that everybody is paying as per the full cost of pollution. So that is another area that we is part of enforcement. So you can see the list is quite long, but however, we don't have everything. And so what the PROs are supposed to do is they give us for each product, they are supposed to give one law. You can look at a law like this one, the one for HDP. If you have your material, it is supposed to state what you are paying the waste pickers. If your product is not managed by waste pickers, then it is a zero. And then does it have the aggregators play a role? If they don't, you put a zero. And then if you are working with the recyclers, then you put your figure there. If there is transportation, you put a figure. And then disposal and landfill, depending on how your product is. And then, of course, your PRO will put their figures towards the end there. Yeah, so that is it for every product. And so now, coming to enforcement, what we are doing at the retail level, we have written a letter to the industry, to KEPSA, Kenya Association of Manufacturers, and also Kenya National Chamber of Commerce and Industry. And we have requested them not to allow anybody to place their item on the market until they have fulfilled the last item there, what we call the retailer's compliance checklist. Okay, so they must have an EPR registration from NEMA. Then they have evidence of registration with a PRO, that is a certificate. And then we have retest clearance from a PRO for batch placed on the shelf as evidence of payment of EPR fee. But the PROs argued that we don't work using batch, but they'll be doing monthly clearances. Why this clearance is important is so that we know that we have money available for waste management every month. For every item you place on the market, you pay. So if you have not placed anything on the market, then you go to your PRO, it's your company, tell them to clear you that you have not placed anything on the market. But we would like that latest clearance, which is monthly, before you place your item on the market. If you are using plastic packaging, then you can see the item on red, which has just been explained by my colleague Alex. So you must have authority to use plastic packaging. So for those using plastic, they have 4 items to produce at the supermarket, and all 3 if you are not using plastic. And so this is the checklist that our officers will be scrutinizing going forward. They visit a supermarket, and then they will go to the receiving end. They will ask for these documents, these documents, the evidence of these documents being held at the supermarket. And if a supermarket has placed an item on the market that is not compliant with this, then that manager will be prosecuted as per Section 20 of the regulations. So in conclusion, I want to say that we have started enforcement. We have polluter pay principle in action in Kenya. We are looking for full payment of pollution. And then we have an EPR formula, which will stabilize payment for pollution. And it is the EPR fee formula promises value chain actors to operate on a minimum guaranteed return basis. And then the minimum change that can occur going forward is if there is change in minimum wage or cost of production. So we can say that we have stabilized the market, the payment for pollution. Now you know what it is. So it is upon the producers to make sure that their products are well designed and so that they move to another category which doesn't pay a lot of money. And in this way, we are promising to contribute to green jobs. And then we want to stabilize and sustain compensation for waste value chain actors so that they can invest. We can have more investment in waste management so that even your costs becomes lower and lower. Thank you very much.
Thank you, Dr. Ayu, for that detailed presentation. Members, if you have any questions, please drop them in the chat and Q&A section. So I'll invite Aisha to give the presentation on EPR compliance. Aisha, please confirm you can hear us.
Yes, I can hear you.
Great. Yes, we can see your screen.
Okay. I'll try to be very brief in the interest of time. Plus, just a minute. Plus, Dr. Ayub has really broken down a lot of details. Thank you, Dr. Ayub. To begin, extended producer responsibility. The definition is an environmental policy approach that holds producers who are manufacturers, importers, distributors, refillers, repackagers, rebranders. This regulation holds them responsible for the entire life cycle of their products, including post-consumer waste management. And under EPR, these producers are required to take responsibility for collecting, recycling, or safe disposal of their products at the end of their useful life. And this regulation targets products that contribute heavily to waste and pollution. Thus, the regulations aim to significantly improve waste management systems in the country. Just a minute. Okay, sorry. Yes. Sorry about that. The EPR regulations, this regulation is anchored on the Sustainable Waste Management Act of 2022, specifically Section 13.1, which mandates all producers to bear extended producer responsibility, and 2, which allows producers to bear the responsibilities either individually or collectively. The term producer is defined in the Sustainable Waste Management Act as, I'm going to define it as a producer is an individual or an entity that introduces goods, that is products and packaging into the country, either through manufacturing, converting, importing, filling, refilling, packaging, and so on. And general penalties are provided in the Act, and as appeals also as per in the Act. We'll get to that. And next we have background, EPR background, where it all started. It dates back all the way to 2007 when we had an attempted ban on plastic bags, which was not successful. And it was followed by another attempt in 2010, which was also not successful. And eventually in 2017, in August, plastic bags were banned in the country. And through the ban, plastic bags, through the ban, NEMA started issuing clearances for plastic intended for primary industrial packaging, specifically for products that lacked alternative packaging. And after that, we had, you see now we have the voluntary EPR schemes here in the middle. So from 2018 to 2021. So after the ban on plastic bags, PET became a problem also. And to address the issue on PET, through a framework of cooperation between the Ministry of Environment, NEMA, and private sector, PETCO was formed to manage PET waste, and PETCO later changed to HAPROK, where they increased their scope. They stopped dealing with only PET and increased their scope. And following that, in 2020, HAPROK was formed through negotiated compliance between NEMA and the bakery sector. It was formed to manage the resultant plastic waste from the bakery sector. So these voluntary schemes were given a condition that they should have take-back schemes for the products that they'll be managing. And they were facing, so these voluntary schemes during that time were facing numerous challenges due to absence of a legal framework mandating the establishment. So to address this, the government came up with the National Sustainable Waste Management Policy in 2021, which was later reinforced by the Sustainable Waste Management Act of 2022, which domesticated the provisions of the policy. And in 2024, the EPR regulation was gazetted from the Sustainable Waste Management Act, and it was gazetted on the 4th of November in 2024. So that is how we came about. And finally, now that we're having the regulation now, the EPR regulation. So next we have objectives of this regulation. And the first objective is this regulation mandates producers to manage the life cycle of their products and packaging, including post-consumer waste. And next, it provides a framework for the establishment and operation of mandatory EPR schemes. And next, it operationalizes the polluter pays principle, which is an environmental principle that holds polluters responsible for cleaning the composition of the pollutions they have caused in the environment. Next. So application of this regulation. So this regulation applies to products, that is goods and packaging, listed in the first schedule. And these are products that negatively impact the environment, human and animal health. These are products that pose challenge in reuse, recycle, and recovery. And they are also the products that have high management cost at post-consumer stage. It also applies to producers of products in the first schedule who are importers, manufacturers, refillers, rebranders, repackagers, and so on. And it also applies to extended producer responsibility schemes. So it applies to individual EPR schemes and collective EPR schemes. These are the products that are set out in the first schedule. And for category 1, we have packaging for non-hazardous products, plastics, aluminium, composites, paper and its corrugates, glass, cardboards, and cartons. And category 2, we have hazardous products, packaging, and industrial chemicals, oils, lubricants, pharmaceuticals, and so on. And category 3, we have electrical and electronic equipment, mercury, auto switches, thermostats, batteries, and accumulators. For category 4, we have automobiles, aircrafts, and locomotives. And 5, we have non-packaging items, which are plastic, glass, paper, cardboard, furniture, except wooden and metallic. So this exception is for products that are 100% made of wood and metal. That is for product and packaging. And then we have rubber, tires, textiles, leather, artificial hair, diapers, sanitary towels. So these are the products that are set out in the first schedule, and they're in 5 categories. Next, we have obligations of a producer in this regulation. According to regulation 5, we have 10 producers have 10 obligations, and the first obligation is to register with the authority, which is NEMA. Next is to establish a take-back scheme and set up and register an individual EPR scheme or join a collective EPR compliance scheme. Next, the producer is required to provide NEMA with reports of the status of the implementation of their obligations. They're also required to design products and packaging materials that minimize waste, facilitate reuse, recycling, recovery, and use of secondary raw materials where possible, and are environmentally friendly at the end of their useful life. Next, we have the producers are required to take financial, organizational, and physical responsibility for the management of their post-consumer products. So financial, maybe through contribution of EPR fees, and organizational and physical by making arrangements on how the materials will be collected and recycled. And next, producers are required to provide consumers with information and raise awareness on management of post-consumer products. They're also required to carry out product life cycle assessment in relation to their product for enhancing environmental sustainability. And lastly, they're required to put in place circular economy initiatives and any other measures to reduce the impact of their product on health and environment. Now here we have execution of EPR obligations. So these 10 obligations, the producers can execute them either individually for sole producers or collectively through producer responsibility organizations. So when the producers you can either execute your obligation individually through an individual EPR scheme or collectively through producer responsibility organizations. So when the producer decides to execute the application through a PRO, the PRO will execute producers' obligations inside the 10 obligations in sub-regulation 5 and additional ones now in sub-regulation 17 as below. One is to undertake market development for the secondary raw material markets of the product under the scope. Establish research and development programs with registered research institutions on emerging technologies to improve material recovery, removal of pollutants, and effective systems for handling post-consumer products. They are also required to execute any other obligations set by NEMA for the purpose of ensuring compliance with this regulation. Here we have establishment of a collective EPR scheme. Now that is a producer responsibility organization. PRO is a member-based organization, and it's also going to be registered as a company that will be limited by guarantee. And next, producers of similar products products of similar uses or products with similar resultant waste can come together to execute their EPR obligations together collectively. And PROs execute the producer's obligation, ensuring producers' compliance with EPR regulations. They help producers in collecting, recycling, and end-of-life disposal without producers establishing their waste management system. They facilitate producers' benefit on economies of scale in regards to collection and recycling, which would otherwise be very costly. So when a producer decides to execute the obligations through a collective scheme, the PRO takes over the producer's responsibility and they execute the producer's responsibility. Next is registration and licensing. And the first step in complying with this regulation is that producers are required to apply and be registered by NEMA, where they will be issued with a certificate of registration by producers. And this registration is one-off. Once you've applied and you've been issued by a certificate, you've been issued with a certificate of producer registration for producers, you don't need to apply again. So this registration is one-off. And importers are also required to apply and be registered as producers. And for importers now, importers are supposed to apply for an EPR import certificate from NEMA every time they are importing goods into the country. So they first register as producers, and then every time they are importing goods into the country, they are supposed to apply for an EPR import certificate from NEMA, which will be issued per consignment. So every time you import, you apply for the EPR import certificate. Next step is so these producers are supposed to execute their obligations in a scheme, so either an individual scheme or a collective scheme. And these schemes are also registered by NEMA. They're supposed to apply for registration with NEMA, and the registration for the EPR schemes, both individual and collective, is 4 years renewable. And next is the licensing of the EPR scheme. So even though the registration is 4 years renewable, the EPR schemes are required to apply and for an EPR annual license, and every year, which is annually, and it will be issued by NEMA as long as the schemes are adhering to the statutory mandates that they are established for. Next is just a registration and the EPR. So I think I have explained this in the previous slide. So it's for importers, producers in the scheme. So requirements for registration for importers is on regulation 6 and 7 in the EPR regulation, and they will be issued with an EPR import certificate, which is per consignment. And then for producers is on regulation 8, which is issued one-off and for a payment of 5,000 Kenyan shillings. And for the EPR schemes, the requirements are on regulation 10 for individual EPR schemes and 11 for collective EPR schemes. Importer registration requirements. So these are the requirements for importers when they are applying for the EPR import certificate. So they fill out an application form A, description of importer, you attach certificate of registration for the company as issued by the registrar of companies, declare the nature and quantities of products you are going to import, attach a proof of payment or proof of membership to an EPR scheme. This is for importers of finished products into the market. And for imported products for industrial use, such as pellets, you don't need to belong to an EPR scheme, but you will still apply for the EPR import certificate. And proof of payment of requisite fee as per the first schedule. And then next is the review, approval, and issuance of the EPR certificate. For producer registration requirements, This registration, you fill out the application form C, you attach a registration certificate issued by the Registrar of Companies, and then you declare your goods and products and packaging as introduced into the country, and you attach proof of payment of requisite fee as per the third schedule. And I would like to mention that these applications are done on the eCitizen platform. And the form, you fill it on you fill all these requirements and attach all the required attachments through eCitizen, and review, approval, and issuance of registration certificates. Next, we have requirements for registration of an individual EPR scheme. Number one, declaration that the applicant is the producer of the product in the country. They should attach certificate of conformity issued by the relevant authority in respect of the products produced by the producer. Registration certificate from the Registrar of Companies, producer's EPR plan, agreements entered into with the approved waste service providers, and proof of payment for the requisite the application within 14 days of receipt of an application, and NEMA will either approve the application, request for further particulars, or reject the application. And NEMA will communicate the decision within 7 days of making the decision. Here we have requirements for the registration of our collective EPR scheme. So this is for producer responsibility organizations. So proof of registration by the Registrar of Companies under the Companies Act, a certified copy of the most recent register of members of the EPR organization, copies of the EPR registration certificate issued to each member of the PRO, and certified copy of agreements with the approved waste service providers, a copy of the EPR fee structure agreed upon among the members of the EPR of the PRO, a list of the directors of the company issued by the Registrar of Companies, PIN certificate issued by KRA, lease agreement or proof of ownership of the facility of operation, EPR plan and budget or financial plan for the EPR scheme, signed minutes of the meeting adopting the updated EPR plan, signed by representatives of the products within the category. And this is more an organogram for the PRO, work plan and budget for the coming year, certified copy of annual edited financial accounts. Now this is for renewal. Copy of a dispute resolution mechanism for the members participating in the EPR scheme, copy of the memorandum of association of the company declaring that the sole business of the company is to undertake extended producer responsibility obligations on behalf of the members, and proof of payment of the relevant fees. So these are the requirements that NEMA would require during registration for a collective EPR scheme. So one of the requirements I mentioned earlier here is an EPR plan. So an EPR plan is made up of the following items. And number one is the baseline for products and packaging handled, a plan for safe handling, processing, and disposal of 100% equivalent volume of products declared by the producer, plan to meet national targets for reuse, recycling, or recovery operations and end-of-life management, plan for continuous additionality in material recovery and recycling, including circularity, a collection
Aisha, it seems we've lost you.
a list of service providers and actors in the scheme, an eco-design SOP for the products handled by the scheme, a mechanism of controlling banned or dangerous substances in products handled by the scheme, an annual reporting mechanism, a plan or projection on training and capacity building of members and actors in the scheme, a schedule on monitoring of members, product traceability system, inspections and compliance with this regulation, a model of financing the scheme, integrating financial flows to the entire value chain actors, and any other actions necessary for execution of responsibility requested by NEMA. So here we have EPR fee modulation according to Regulation 18, and Dr. Ayub, as he has mentioned, NEMA has shared the formula with the PROs. And just to go through, and Dr. Ayub has already broken it down and explained it, but let me just go through this. And so the EPR fees to be paid by members of a PRO will be calculated guided by the following parameters. So quantity of products introduced to the market, existence of mechanism for segregation of products at source, recyclability and recoverability of the products, existence of markets for use of producers' secondary raw materials, absence or presence of hazardous or non-hazardous disruptive additives, products with or without defined environmental footprints, and fulfillment of EPR, extended producer responsibility obligation. So I think this was very, very well explained by Dr. Ayub. And Dr. Ayub also went through these offenses and penalties. I don't know if I should just mention them. I think I'll just skip this because it has been already covered by Dr. Ayub. And rights and responsibilities. For rights is any person or entity aggrieved by any decision of the authority under these regulations may pass one to Section 31 of the Act, appeal to the tribunal. And responsibilities, here we have responsibilities of NEMA, which is education and awareness creation, like what we are doing right now. Preparation of EPR implementation guidelines, establishment of EPR data management system, registration of importers, producers, and EPR schemes, processing licenses for the EPR schemes, providing technical support in the formation of EPR compliance schemes, enforcement, monitoring compliance of the EPR schemes, development of reporting formats, and capacity building of actors. That's the end of my presentation. Thank you.
Thank you, Aisha, for that presentation. I'll request you stay on because there are some questions that have been raised by members on the EPR regulations. So I'll start with the first question that I've seen in the Q&A. Under the EPR, the payment of 150 is a double payment, considering one is already a member of a PRO. So the member is asking clarity on what the 150 paid to NEMA is for. What's the 150 paid, the import fee? Aisha, can you hear me? Or if Dr. Ayub?
Yes, I can hear you.
Okay, great. Yeah, so the member is just asking for clarity on the 150, yes.
Okay. I'm saying, is it this one? Is the 150 per pack import fees going to be made available to the PROs, or the importer still needs to pay and also declare and pay again? The 150 shillings will be paid by the importer. It's not by the PRO. It's paid by the importer. So the PRO, the importer registers as a producer, and then if this importer is an importer of products, he or she joins a PRO, okay? And he will be a producer, he or she will be a producer. So the PRO will be taking care of his or her obligations. But the 150 for the import fee, the one that is being paid for the EPR import certificate will be paid by the importer, and this will be paid because the import certificate will be issued per consignment. So every time the importer is importing goods into the country, he or she will be paying the 150. So the 150 shillings will be paid by the importer, not by the PRO.
Thank you for that clarification. So there's also another question on providing clarity on what 150 per item is. So what is the per item? How are you quantifying the item?
Okay, for the item, currently we will share with the PROs what is it said? The definition, the conclusive definition of the per item, but let me explain. So for goods, for products that are in category 1 and 2, per item will be charged by standard packaging of the product. So let's say you bring you're bringing in what is routers. Let's say you're bringing in routers, not routers. Let's say you're bringing, okay, the secondary packaging. So see, your products are in a box. So the 150 will be charged by the standard packaging. That is for category 1 and 2, and for category 3 and 4, which is 3 and 4 is electronics and electrical equipment and automobiles and motor vehicles. So for this category, per item will be charged by a standalone item. So each electronic and each motor vehicle. So I don't know if I am clear enough. So for category 1 and 2 and 3 and 5, it's for standard packaging. And category 3 and 4, it will be for standalone items.
Okay, thank you, Aisha. We'll be sure to send that information to our members after this call. Just one last question for you in terms of what is the validity of the producer certificate? I think it's how long does it last? Is it an annual? Do you have to renew it annually, or is it once you've done it once, that's it?
Yeah, once you've done it once, that's it. The producer registration certificate is issued one. It's a one-off issued certificate. So once you've applied and you've listed all your products, and your products will be captured in the certificate. So the products you have declared in the application will be captured on the certificate. And as long as those are the only products you are dealing with, the certificate is one-off. You're not required to apply again.
Okay, thank you, Aisha. Alex, if you're still on call, we have some questions on the plastic regulations. Please confirm you're still on call.
Hello, yes, I'm available.
Okay, great. So this one is coming from Susan. She's asking, can you provide clarity that the plastic bottles are not in the scope except LDPE?
Hello, yes, I can confirm that if a client is using only HCDE and not using there is no at any single point they're using the low density polyethylene, then they don't apply for the plastic regulation or for the plastic license. This only applies to those who are using polyethylene, to be specific. That is the low density polyethylene. But if at all they're using the high density polyethylene and they are shrink wrapping, that's when now they're supposed to apply for the license.
Okay, thank you for that. There's another question here. So for imported products wrapped with plastic, what is the correct labeling?
The correct labeling should indicate the name of the company as the importer and the address. But this product is imported or distributed by the name of that company and the address, because we want to see the possession who has introduced that product into the market for responsibility purposes and easy of monitoring.
Thank you, Alex. I also see this question on from Sila. So for clarity, could you please specify exactly which categories of plastic packaging are subject to the mandatory licensing and import certificate requirements under the current regulations?
Hello?
HAPROK.
Yes, for import that question belongs to Aisha.
But it's on plastic packaging.
So that Aisha can respond to.
I think they just wanted to know what for the plastic licensing.
Yes. No, for any product that is wrapped in any form of low density polyethylene that is imported, you must also get a clearance for your product so that it can be allowed into the country. Because this regulation applies to the importers, exporters, manufacturers, and users. So if you are importing a product that is wrapped in or packaged in low density polyethylene, then you do need to apply for the license before your shipment does arrive.
Thank you, Alex, for that. So I can see a question here from Paul on biopesticides. Should the biopesticides importers apply for the EPR certificate? Yes, it is mandatory under the regulations to apply not only for the producer registration certification, but also the importer certification. So once you finish the producer registration process on the NEMA e-Citizen, you can proceed on to the importer certification. I hope that is clear. And I can see some people have raised their hands. So in the interest of time, we'll only pick the 5 that have raised their hands. So I'll ask Martin. Martin, if you can unmute and ask your question. Martin? Okay, as Martin sorts his mic, Joel, please proceed with your question.
Thank you very much. Can you hear me?
Yes, yes.
I think my question is, you have answered it talking about the 150. It's not very clear whether is it the material that are packaged in a box, or if it is packaged as a box. Do you count a whole box as an item? And I think that should come very clear, because actually if it's not, then it has a very big impact on businesses. They'll have, the business will have a big issue. Number 2 is I'm not able to have a very clear boundary between implementation of the plastic and the EPR, because my thinking was all these are within the EPR. And when I look at the requirement of you must actually be able to produce an EPR plan as the importer, and already you belong to an EPR, a PRO. Is it like will be a duplication, or I am not very clear on that, essentially on the plastic regulation? Thank you.
Thank you for that, Joel. I don't know if Dr. Ayub is available to answer those 2 questions. On the clarity of the 150 per item and the distinguishing EPR and plastics.
Yes, I'm available.
Okay, great.
Now, this 150. Can you repeat me the question? The two questions.
Yes, I can say it again. The 150 per item. I mean, it was said that there will be clarity on maybe is it if I've just packaged in a container of a box, for example, and it has some small items inside. Are you counting? You open the box, count everything there, and just charge by 150, or are you counting the whole maybe box and say that is an item?
The whole box is one item. Because why the 150 was introduced is because of dumping. There's a lot of dumping of packaging in the country. And for us to avoid that, then we wanted to charge 150 actually for even locally produced materials. But then during the public participation, the local manufacturers argued their case and they said just let it apply to imports. But our 150 only applies to one box, the what do you call it? There is a way you call it, bulk packaging. It applies for bulk packaging. And then there is another question about the EPR and plastic. You think that both are EPR. That is not true. Why we have the plastic regulation is because, you know, there is a ban on LDPE. Those flimsies, there is already a ban, and the ban is still active. But however, we realize that there are some items that are very essential, and they still need to use the bags. And for that reason, there needed to be some guidelines on what is allowed, what is not allowed. And that was the genesis of the plastic packaging regulations, the one that Alex has taken us through. So that regulation is there because you are dealing with a banned product. It's already banned. The 2017 ban is still active. However, for those essential items that need to continue using those bags, then we have a regulation to guide on what should be cleared. So the two regulations are different. And you realize that it buys into EPR. For your bag to be approved, then you need to demonstrate compliance with EPR. Then EPR is a whole regulation because it has many things to fulfill. So it needed to be prescribed in a law. So they are different. Thank you.
Thank you, Dr. So I can see a hand from Glory Paints. Please unmute and ask your question.
Yes, thank you so much. I hope you can hear me.
Yes, we can.
Yeah, I have three questions. First of all, my name is Smart from Glory Paints. I have a question to Dr. Ayu. The first question is when will the EPR import certificates become operational on monthly basis? And then the second question, I've had in trying to clarify the 150 shillings per item, and then I had a question: what happens when one is importing a product that cannot be packed in bulk, maybe for one reason or the other? And then the third question is on the license for plastic packaging material. So is it for the manufacturers who use the plastic for packaging, or for those who manufacture the plastic or that are supposed to be used for packaging? Thank you.
Dr. Ayub, are you able to answer those three questions? Kindly, the representative from Glory Paints, kindly repeat the first question. It wasn't so clear.
Yeah, my first question was when will be Okay. When will the EPR import certificate become operational on mandatory basis?
Okay, thank you.
I think Aisha can respond to the first question.
Yes, proceed, Daktari.
I'm calling upon my friend at the desk, Aisha, to respond to that first question.
Please repeat the first question. I have an issue with my connection.
Yes, the question was on the EPR import certificate. When will it be operationalized on a mandatory basis?
We are currently onboarding the import requirements on the Kentrade's national single window system, and all I can say is that it will be operationalized soon as possible. So as at now, we are in the process of onboarding the requirements on the Kentrade national single window system.
Thank you for that. And then I think if Dr. Ayub, you can take the second question that was asked on what happens to a product that cannot be packed in bulk for the 150, as you had mentioned, it's the bulk packaging.
As I explained earlier, if your product is not in that packaging, then it will be counted as individually. It will be counted individually. So if it cannot fit the box, then you have to pay individually. Otherwise, the charging is based on your declarations to KRA. You know, when you're declaring to KRA, you say, what is your number of items? If it is shoes, you say this number of shoes. And the next question is, how many packages? And NEMA is anchoring on that one, packages. How many packages do you have? So if you don't have packages, then it means you have individual items, and each of them will be charged alone. But if it is in packages, then of course we are going for packages. That is the discussion that we have had with Kentrade and KRA, and that is how we are charging. We are using the KRA declarations through Kentrade. Thank you.
Thank you for that clarification. Alex, if you're on call, there was a question on the plastic packaging regulation. So they were asking, is the licensing for those who use the plastic packaging or those who manufacture the plastic packaging?
The license applies for both manufacturer and a user. So for you to manufacture any packaging materials for a client, you must first be authorized by authority to manufacture. And then the user who is packaging, for instance, bread, must also be authorized by the authority to use those packaging materials so that he or she can go to the manufacturer and get the packaging materials. So both it applies for both of them. Both, that is the user and the manufacturer. Thank you.
Thank you for that, Alex. Thank you for that clarification. So in the interest of time, I'm going to request the next three people to please keep your questions, just one question each. So I'll ask Maxwell to please unmute and ask your question. Just one question, please.
Hello, thank you for that opportunity. Though I have a number of questions to ask, but let me go with the one question in this case, maybe two, because I had quite a lot of questions to ask. Number one question I'm having is in regards to the EPR formula. I was checking through that the presentation that was done by Dr. Ayub in regards to how to calculate, how to add in the effects of the transporters, the waste handling, the product chemistry, and all that. But one thing is not coming out clearly in regards to that formula, because I'm checking even the preliminary figures that they've inserted there, all factors being considered. The cost is extremely going to be very high on the side of the producers. For example, you are finding out that the total cost for this, if you leave alone the disposal, they are factoring it only on Kenya shilling 750 pay to the pickers or aggregators per day, and all the costs are being pegged on the minimum quantities that the aggregators or pickers can collect per day. So the aspect of the material recovery or recyclability rate is not coming in out clearly, which I feel is not being factored the right way in that formula, because this is an aspect that we need to put into the formula as an eco-modulation factor. Because at the end of the day, when the material is being easier to recycle or to recover, it's supposed to reduce the cost of the EPR fee. So it's supposed to be a multiplication factor where an eco-modulation factor is supposed to be assigned to each and every product stream. But if you check on that one, that is not coming out, even if they're saying that the material recyclability stroke recovery rate is reducing the cost. The cost in that sheet which was shared is being reduced by the amount of quantity of each product being collected by an aggregator or picker per day, because the rate remains the same, 750 shillings per day. So that aspect needs to be rechecked with the PROs and all that, because I'm thinking if a material, we can assign NEMA and PROs can agree on an eco-modulation factor. It can range maybe, let's say, from 0.8 to 1.2 or 1.5 based on the material recovery and recyclability. So in an instance where a producer is using a material that is easier to recycle, after calculation of that EPR fee, then it's supposed to either reduce or maybe increase it in some aspect, which in most cases it should be to reduce. So maybe you can go with up to 1. So that's a factor that needs to be factored into the EPR fee so that we check out on that, because it's not coming out clearly. It's only based on the quantity and the rate of 750 shillings per day. And if you go with this, because I'm 100% certain that even the economic aspect of these ones have not been really impacted, because it's going to increase very high. Because if you check some PROs that as now are charging 0.5 shillings per kg. If you check with this cost, it's going to be around minimum, I'm seeing there, is a standard rate of 7 shillings per kg, others going up to 30 shillings per kg. So imagine in a situation where you are going to, can just imagine that abnormal percentage increase in the price. So that's a comment I wanted to put through. Now the question that I needed to check is in regards to the EPR fee, the import levy, that 150 shillings per item. Number one thing, I'm not finding the uniformity in regards to this, because if you check on that table which was shared, the category 1 to 2 is being charged at 150 shillings per packaging standard. And I think from what Dr. Ayub and Aisha has been really articulating so far as it is concerned, it is on bulk packaging. So are we referring to bulk packaging in regards to primary packaging as a bulk packaging, or are we referring to bulk packaging as a secondary containment, like a secondary packaging? For example, if I'm importing, let's say water, 1 liter of water, I can do one bulk packaging of 1 liter. The volume still remains the same of packaging. So whatever I'm releasing to the environment will not change. If I'm packaged that 1 liter of water into 500 ml, the same volume of packaging material I'll still release to the environment. So this EPR fee of 150 shillings, even based on the argument that NEMA is putting as far as it is concerned, that we have to do it to reduce the quantity of waste that is ending into their environment in regards to packaging material volumes, I don't see how that aspect is coming in. Because the volumetric capacity of the product you are importing, whether you package it small, whether you package it large, the same packaging volume remains, because you are not reducing the quantity of the product you are importing or anything. So there's no way you can reduce that one aspect. But regardless of that, the shillings 150 per item is also not uniform along the way. If you check category 1, 2, they are being charged per standard packaging, which in this case also needs to be defined whether it is primary or secondary packaging. But then again, for other categories, like for example, the aircrafts, motor vehicles and all that, being charged per item, now per unit. Imagine somebody importing an aircraft, then paying 150 shillings. And another person is just importing raw material packaging, different packaging, ending up paying even up to 1 million shillings for that. because of the packaging. So that uniformity aspect literally is not there and all that. But that is not my biggest query actually. The biggest query is in regards to
Maxwell, sorry, I'll have to cut you off because of interest of time, and there are other people who want to ask questions.
Please, can we have another meeting soon, please, with time, because I have a lot of issues that I need to be discussed.
Yes, we are planning webinars. Each PRO will do their own webinars to take their members through the different questions that have been raised here, as well as any further clarifications they need.
Can I then get just a clarity in regards to those two items? How the eco-modulation factor in regards to material recovery is being factored in that EPR formula, and how this 150 shillings is being charged, and also its uniformity in regards to those rates. And is this applying to standard packaging in regards to primary packaging or secondary packaging? Just those two then, please, while we wait for those other webinars, because I had a lot of questions to ask in regards to this.
Okay, thank you for that. So,
this is Martin.
Martin, let us respond to Maxwell's question, then we'll come to you next.
Okay, thank you.
If Aisha or Dr. Ayub is able to take that on the import fee in relation to the primary or secondary packaging.
Aisha, go ahead.
Dr. Ayub, you can go ahead.
I'll take the one on the EPR formula.
Okay.
Thank you, Maxwell, for challenging the EPR formula. As I said, when we sent the EPR formula plus the figures that you're talking about, the value chain actors are the ones who came up with the figures. And so our recommendation is, please engage your PRO and together you engage the value chain actors and give us the revised figures. But as about your complaint about that you are paying like 50 cents or 3 shillings, I think the fees that have been there before, they were not realistic. And that is why we have a lot of littering. The waste pickers are not attracted to the waste because they are not compensated well. And for that reason, the waste is there. If we continue like this, the waste will continue to be there. And then the future generations, we are polluting their environment. And we are denying them their rights to a clean and healthy environment. So based on that, that is the reason why we have these figures. They look a bit high, but that is the real cost of pollution in Kenya. What has been paid before is not the real cost. We are paying very little, and the future generations will be required to pay the rest. So we are giving the future generation some debt. Yes. Now, the other one is the uniformity of the Kenya shillings 150. Yes, it is not uniform, but you know, those who bring small items, they also bring more pollution, even more than the big item. And that is why, to make sure that our country does not become a dumping ground, then we have gone for per item, but we have allowed for packaging in bulk. Package with as huge carton as you can, started packaging, and then you pay 150. For the vehicle, it is one piece, 150. But this money is for helping the counties or will be pumped to waste management, in the sense of, like, we want to do, there is a component that is not covered at the EPR, that is the residual waste. Residual waste, it will be given to the government. The government will put it in the landfills. So how can we have better landfills? We need money for that. And that is why we have the 150 to raise money to do such things. Thank you.
Thank you for that response, Dr. Ayub. So I'm just going to take two questions in the interest of time. Martin, just ask one question and then we'll close with Dr. Ajay.
Okay, mine is to do with the monthly voluntary declaration. You find that in some of our company working model in terms of distribution, we have stockists, we have distributors, and by the time the material is getting to the consumer is in about 3 months. So my question is, why are we being, much as it is voluntary, why don't we have a model where the point of impact in terms of when these material go into the market, that is when we are forced to declare, as opposed to having a monthly fashion in terms of pattern for declaration? Because some of us feel like when we make this voluntary declaration that comes with a cost, it's like we are paying in advance, yet our products have not yet hit the market. So is there another better alternative to pursue? Thank you.
Because that is an MVD's question and it's more to the PRO, I'll ask Andrew Sila, HAPROK coordinator, to respond to that.
Yeah, thank you so much. Martin, you will declare what is moving out of your premises. So assume you are the manufacturer and you are sending the distributor. So it is out of your hand, out of your company, so you need to declare it. Even if it is in the store in the next 6 months, it will eventually end up in the environment. And not unless now it comes back as a dead stock, now we can have that different conversation. But so long it leaves your company, because you are a manufacturer, you are a producer as per the EPR regulation, you need to declare whatever leaves your environment in a monthly basis. Otherwise, if you feel that monthly is declaration is too so much for you, of course, as a PRO, you can come to PRO and have a one-on-one conversation, see how after how long, maybe after 2 months or quarterly, so that you need, and remember, as the mentioned by Dr. mentioned that you need to be having monthly certificates. So we still insist, as guided by the EPR regulation, that monthly declarations will even ease your work. So that every month you declare and you finish up and get your certificate. Otherwise, you pile up, it will be so much, and your environment is being that is good to the environment, and it's upon the producer or manufacturer, whoever is put in there because of the branch owner. I think that is clear.
Thank you, Sila. We'll move on to Dr. Ajay.
Alex, for very informative presentations. My question is a simple question. The EPR certificate can it be shortened?
Sorry, we didn't get your question. Your network is unsteady.
Foot of the market.
Sorry about that. Can you, the EPR certificate, can it be shortened instead of 14 days?
Okay, I get the question is maybe to Aisha or Daktari, whether the processing timeline from 21 days probably can be shortened to 14. Is that the question?
No, I think the EPR, they're saying the EPR certificate is going to be released within 14 days. Can that be shortened? Can it be done in a few days? A couple of days, maybe?
Aisha?
The EPR regulation provides that the application would be reviewed and a decision is made within 14 days. And this certificate is issued only once, and I don't think it can be reduced to less than 14 days, because we received so many applications, and we'll need time as a team to review the application. So once you have applied and you have you have attached all the requirements and your application is clear and you have provided all the requirements, within 14 days you will get your certificate. But I don't think we can reduce, because as the regulation provides for 14 days, and as NEMA will need those 14 days to review the application, and it goes through several stages of approval. So I think 14 days would be sufficient for us, and I don't think we can reduce it, because we'll need those 14 days to make a decision. Thank you.
Thank you for that question. Thank you for that answer. One last question to Alex. There's a question here on the chat on the low density biodegradable plastic. So where it is for, how will you treat low density but biodegradable plastic within the regulations?
Thank you. Currently, NEMA has an EPR machine that can test the biodegradability of a packaging material. So unless a sample has been tested and proven to be containing zero plastic, that's only when we can issue a certain special license of biodegradable packaging material, and in which is issued by the Director General. So for somebody who has a biodegradable packaging material, can only bring a sample with a letter requesting for the sample to be tested. And from there, that's when we can give you the license. You can apply for the license, and you can even be allowed to sell on special cases, because it has been proven to be 100% biodegradable and contains zero polyamide. Thank you.
Thank you for that answer, Alex. That is quite clear. Members, allow me to close. I can see there's still some questions that are burning, but I will request that through your PROs, maybe you can raise those questions with your PROs. There are a series of webinars that are being planned just to ensure that we guide you on compliance matters on EPR. So for Susan, Callistas, please reach out to your PROs for further clarifications. All presentations will be shared within due course, and yeah, we'll be able to address all your queries. So I'd like to close the meeting. Firstly, I'd like to thank the NEMA team, Dr. Ayub, Alex, Aisha, Hadassah, Yvonne, for making the time and being able to come here to allow us to sensitize our members on how we can comply. We look forward to working with you in ensuring that our members are contributing to a cleaner Kenya. Thank you also to our coordinators and our communications officer, Doreen, for making the time and bringing the members together and being able to take them through compliance matters. And thank you to our members for making the time and joining this webinar. Thank you for making time for this webinar and joining. Any questions that you have, please reach out to us. And the board members, EPROK and HAPROK board members who are here, thank you also for joining the call and making the time. We wish you a good afternoon, a good evening, I think. So thank you, and we'll share all the presentations and recording.
Thank you.
Thank you. Bye-bye.